This is my first time visiting this area, and I think this area is maybe a little more well known to Japanese travelers. So, and I really enjoy being able to visit a part of the Japanese landscape that I otherwise wouldn't probably come into much contact with. I mean, before I came, Cairo showed me images and videos, and of course it's very different visiting the site. So part of the difficulty of making this these works that I'm showing here is that I kind of have to, because of COVID, travel was quite restricted, so I wasn't able to spend time at the site like I was able to last time. So I was relying a lot on reading and knowledge from books and literature, and so my approach is actually quite sort of I guess there's a sense of humor in the way that I'm expressing the topic. There's certainly through lines and themes that I'm exploring that are responding to the site. So, for example, the drawings, which has text, small bits of text in it, which are drawn from a dictionary of ancient spells from different cultures. A lot of them are actually European, but there are also some Asian ones as well. So there's this new series of drawings for old spells, and then the sculptures outside with little screens embedded in them. They are more they're more direct, I guess, responses to the tradition of birds being messengers from heaven across different cultures. So their approaches are more sort of humorous and weird. When I first came to the site and when I saw the other works that are responding to the site, I noticed the difference, of course, in aesthetic. There is differences in like I guess dynamic levels, like volume level. Although my works are not making sounds necessarily, they in general tend to be quite loud. If I were to make a work in response to the site after having visited and after having spent some time here, the work will be quite different. Probably in terms of dynamic level. I mean, like in terms of themes and thinking patterns or processes or the research processes. I'll probably end up reading the same literature, but the dynamic level or the volume level of the palette or the gestures will probably be quite different. I think that's how sites tend to work their way into my work, is through these more abstract qualities, but not necessarily sort of like the narrative. Yeah. I would rather that the audience interact with the work intuitively, so they don't necessarily have to know how I made the animation, or where the text in the animation actually came from and how I processed them. Or they don't even need to know like the actual spells that are in the drawings. But I think even without that layer, people should be able to intuitively form a kind of relationship between what they're seeing and their surroundings. But if they're interested in finding out from you or from the staff at the site, and they become interested in the story about these ancient legal texts and how I process them so they sound like bird messages. So I think that's another layer, but it came through the already triggered curiosity. Yeah, I very much would like to. I'd love to come back, and I would like to explore the idea of making a performance piece, especially along the burial mound, and a very striking rock form that is standing near the shore. I was also noticing the changes of the tides. So I think it would be quite nice to make a kind of a durational performance there, where people could come to the site, see something, and they might leave and explore other areas or other events, and then come back in a couple of hours and notice already the landscape has changed, and then the performance is also evolving. I think that is quite nice. I'm imagining a kind of situation where the body of water and the rising tide is sort of making or compartmentalizing the landscape, so we get different pockets of areas where the musicians or the performers could stand and they could not stand. So they might, in one scene, the performers might be stranded at sea, and then you come back a few hours, and when the tides are lower, they can walk around more, have more mobility. So I'm thinking about that sort of thing, like sort of how to work with the changing landscape and the very visible sense of time that I found quite striking. So I think that's what I put in mind. Yeah.